Hi guys, welcome to the second basic variables exercise. In this exercise I would like to just explore how variables can help us a bit more with repetition and patterns. So for this one I want you to pause the video when I tell you and try and complete a challenge. The challenge that I want you to try and complete is I want you to try and draw this pattern. Yeah, it's a brick pattern. The gap in between the bricks is the same. The width and height of these bricks is all the same. Don't worry too much about what it is in this thing. Just try and emulate a brick-like pattern here. And the colors in this pattern go from black to white. So I want you to pause the video in a second and just have a go at doing that, and then come back and I'll talk through how one way you can approach it. Okay, thanks. Let's why don't you pause it now and have a go. All right, great. So you've had a go at your brick challenge. You may have got quite far. You may have completed it. You may not have. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted you to have a little go. So let's get to how we might do this. So the first thing we do with variables is always we look at the things that we're going to reuse throughout our code. So one thing that we're going to reuse is this width of the brick. That's always going to be the same. So let's declare the width. So we use the let keyword here. I have it's not actually going to change, so I might change that to const. Again, this is the ES6 syntax for variables. You can use var if you would like. That's the ES5 syntax for variables. The const syntax here means that it's not going to change. The let syntax here means it will change. So our width here, we're going to set it as 100. That's not going to change at any point through when our code runs. The other thing that we can see that is a common element is the height. So that we're going to set the height at 50. Yeah. The next thing we're going to reuse throughout, I might just move these down here. The next thing we can see that is common is this gap. So this gap is always going to be the same number. So let's use the const keyword here. Gap is 10 pixels. So our bricks are going to be 100 pixels wide by 50 pixels high. They're going to have a gap around them of 10 pixels. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to just declare these two variables, the y and x position. These are the things that we're going to use to position our bricks without having to resort to writing numbers in there all the time. So, sorry, I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. So, yeah, so these things we're going to set and not set a value to them. We're going to reset those values every time we draw use the draw function. So let's start with the first brick. The first brick is this brick up the top here. So it's black and it's in the top left-hand side of the screen. So it's going to be black. It's going to be black. Let's put the fill to 0. The x position is going to be 0, the left-hand side of the screen. The y position is going to be 0. And let's use our rectangle now to draw it. So we're going to use the rectangle function. The rectangle function is going to draw our rectangle. It's going to use the x value that's set here. It's going to use the y value that's set here. It's going to use the w value for its width, which is set up here. And it's the h value for its height, which is set up here. There we go, save that, and here it is. Here's our brick. Lovely, it's at the top left-hand side of the screen. So the next brick, we want to be slightly grayer, so we're going to set it as 40, the fill. The y position is going to be the same, so let's just use this y position up here. We don't need to reset it. The x position is going to be different. Yeah? The x position is going to be somewhere sort of here. It's going to be the width of a brick plus a gap, and the gap, as you know, we've saved as a variable here. So the gap is 10 pixels. So it's going to be width plus gap. Yeah? So we just set that. X equals W plus gap. So you can see we're using other variables within this variable here. So let's draw that rectangle. there we go, it's going to use that X, it's going to use this Y, it's going to use the width, it's going to use the height. So let's save that. There we go, there's our brick. Yeah, it's slightly grayer, and it's set exactly the width plus the gap from the left-hand side of the screen. So let's do the third brick. You may be getting the hang of this now. The fill's going to be slightly whiter. The Y position is going to be the same. We've set it up here. We don't need to reset it. The X position is what's going to be different. It's going to be the width plus the gap plus a width plus a gap. Yeah? So you can write that any way you want. I've chosen to write it width plus gap times by 2 because there's 2 bricks there. Yeah? So we draw that rectangle. There we go. It's in that row. And everything's all exactly the same. If we change the gap to 20, that's going to run, that's 0, that's going to run out across this. We don't have to change anything in our bricks here. It's always going to be 20. Okay, put it back to 10. Okay, now our fourth brick here is going to appear just underneath. It's going to start in the middle of this brick and it's going to go across to this side here. So it's going to be slightly lighter again. It's going to have 120. Its X position is going to be width of a brick divided by 2. Yeah, it actually probably should be width plus gap divided by 2. Yeah, and the Y position is going to be the height of a brick plus the gap. So let's just save that. There we go. It's appearing half a width. So if there was another brick here, it's appearing, sorry, half of this distance, gap plus brick. Yeah, and it's appearing just that it's appearing a gap distance down from the brick above it. So the height of a brick plus a gap. So now we'll do our fifth brick. So this brick is going to be width plus gap. It's going to be width plus gap divided by 2. Sorry, I've written this wrong. Width W plus gap divided by 2. Plus the width and of another brick and a gap. So it's going to appear width plus gap divided by 2 plus the width of a brick plus a gap. Let's just save that. And there it is, perfectly in the center here. Okay. Let's draw our sixth brick. So here we have to reset our Y position again, because it's going to be in a different row to brick 5. It's going to appear down here. And this is going to be, the Y position for this is going to be height plus gap times by 2. So height plus gap, height plus gap. The X position is 0, just like in that first row. So we can sort of reuse the X positions for this row. And so for those 2 bricks that are appearing there, same thing. Yeah. We're just resetting our X position. It's the same mathematics as appeared up here on brick 2, the same mathematics that appeared up here on brick 3. There we go. So this is one way to do it. You may have come up with a different way. There's always many ways to do things in code. I just want to, so don't worry if yours is slightly different. I just want to see if we can just do a few other things to this file. I'd like to just see if we can think about how could we rename the variables to be more accessible to others. W and H make sense to us. We're in the problem, we're in the code. We know what width means, we've written it. Yeah? But maybe for others it might not be. So I just want to change that W to something more sort of accessible. So I'm going to change it to brick width, so that when someone opens this file, there's going to be no doubt whatsoever what that variable is for. It's for the width of a brick. So let's just complete this menial little task and say brick width. Save that. We've missed one somewhere. Where have we missed one? Okay. It's a bit annoying. Why is it doing that? This may stop my entire challenge. I don't want to pause us with this. Just work. I've missed one somewhere, and you probably are all looking at the video going, it's there, it's there, you've done it there. Aha! Alright, we're back in business. Great. Okay, so we've changed that to brick width. So the other thing I want to do here is I want to change the height variable too. So let's just go through and be a bit more thorough with this one and try and catch every H here. Could do find and replace, but annoyingly it's probably going to find some H's somewhere else in our thing and change. Another reason to have good variable names. So let's try this. Yes. All right, great. So it's important to do this while you're looking at your code and you're like, oh, I'm done. Why would I do this? It's really important to do this sort of thing because this is going to help you when you come back to your code. So another thing here that you could change here is the gap. You could change that to something that might be a bit more, we can use the find and replace on this, that might be slightly more declarative, and we might change that to mortar. Yeah. Just replace all. Okay. X and Y we can leave as it is. That's quite common that people will know what that is. Okay, and the next thing that I just want you to think about is there anything else that might benefit from being saved as a variable? So why don't you just pause the video and try and think about that now. Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is that we could change. It's this color. So this color is incremented by 40 every time. So it might be helpful for us to set that as a variable as well. So let's set that const color step equals 40. And let's just use our color step variable and use it throughout this code to set the colors. There we go. So we could change that, and we wouldn't have to change it all the way through it. There we go. It's a different grayscale. Yeah. All right, great. So thanks for joining me on that one. Let's move forward.